finally, we have the game. 10-1 Ohio State versus 10-1 Michigan. This game is going to kick off at noon on Fox. Ohio State is a 7.5 point favorite. And I feel like this is the first time in a very long time that I've been watching college football that this game actually lives up to the name, the game. Because every year they call this the game, and it doesn't really feel like the game. I don't really feel like in the past years there's been that much at stake for these two teams. There's always been a lot at stake for Ohio State, but the stakes haven't really been all that high for Michigan. So we got to recap this season for Michigan, because I feel like Michigan is one of the better stories in college football. Now, they're not like a Michigan State or a Baylor where everybody had pretty low expectations for Michigan and they just exceeded all expectations. Like, there were a lot of Michigan fans who were expecting Michigan to be competing for the Big Ten. Jim Harbaugh has pretty much been coaching for his life, and he's been doing a phenomenal job. As a matter of fact, you could probably say that Jim Harbaugh deserves to be in the conversation for college football coach of the year, because a year ago, we were all talking about, was Harbaugh going to return or was he going to leave for the NFL? And it's just crazy how a year later, how things can turn when you bring in the right guys, when you finally have the team that you want. Jim Harbaugh has a team that he can get behind. This is the kind of team that Jim Harbaugh wants. He wants a team that's hard-nosed, that's great running the football, and he wants a defense that's very physical and tough up front. And this is going to be a really big challenge for Ohio State, because for Ohio State, you haven't really faced a defense like Michigan all year. Now, you look at that Michigan State game. I picked Michigan State to pull off the upset. I was wrong. Michigan State got clobbered. I mean, doggone it, man. Like, Ohio State put up pretty much like 50 points at halftime. Like, they scored on pretty much every single possession. Literally, like, they were just running routes on air. Like, I knew Michigan State's secondary was awful, but I don't think I've ever seen a secondary play as bad as Michigan State did last week against Ohio State. Like, it was a slaughter fest, man. Like, there was blood and dead bodies left all over the field in that game. And for Ohio State, got to give them a lot of credit. They have been playing some really good football. And as a matter of fact, if you ask me, if I was on the college football playoff committee right now and I was ranking who the 4 best teams are right now, I would have Ohio State behind Georgia, because, I mean, you can't discredit what Ohio State did against Michigan State. And there are a lot of people trying to say that we knew Michigan State was a fluke team. They weren't all that great and stuff like that. Like, I got to disagree with that statement. And if you're a Michigan fan saying that, you shouldn't be saying that out your mouth at all, because didn't Michigan State come back from behind and beat you? Just saying. So you got to give Ohio State a lot of kudos for that win. I don't really understand why there are some Michigan fans trying to downplay Michigan State like you didn't lose to Michigan State not too long ago. So you got to give Ohio State a lot of kudos for that win. And this is a really scary Ohio State team, man. Like, the big storyline is going to be, how is Michigan going to game plan for the talented passing attack that they have? You got Garrett Wilson. You got Chris Olave, 2 phenomenal wide receivers who should get drafted in the first round of the upcoming 2022 NFL draft. You got Jason Smith. You got the phenomenal running back Travion Henderson. You got CJ Stroud. Like, this Ohio State offense is getting hot at a really good time. And the defense also showed up to play as well. Like, that's something that I got to give a lot of praise to Ohio State for, because I've been heavily critical on Ohio State's defense this year, and they did a really good job against a really explosive Michigan State offense, one of the more explosive offenses in college football, led by Kenneth Walker, who seems to be at the moment the favorite to win the Hiesman Trophy. Now, you look at Michigan, and we know Michigan has a phenomenal defense, but A lot of Ohio State fans on social media I've been noticing have been going with the narrative that a lot of people in the national media seem to be going with, that Michigan is a one-dimensional team. If you stop Michigan's rushing attack with Hassan Haskins and Corum, you pretty much shut down their entire offense. And that's so false. Like, I don't really know how many times I've come on here this season and had to tell people that Michigan is not a one-dimensional team. Like, there have been several instances when McNamara has showed everybody that Michigan can throw the football if they have to. Like, they don't want to. They would prefer to control the time possession and maul you for all 4 quarters for 60 minutes just running the football, but they can beat you through the air as well. And there were several games when McNamara had really solid performances throwing the football and being asked to carry, a good workload of that offense. Like, a good example was against Michigan State. And although they did lose that game, they still proved to a lot of people that they are more than capable of being able to beat you through the air. He was 28-44, 383 pass yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And I know you can say, well, JT, Michigan State has one of the worst, if not the worst, secondary in college football. And I do understand that. But I just feel like it's just a watered down narrative that Michigan is just this one-dimensional team, and that if you shut down the run, you pretty much shut down the offense. Like, Michigan has some guys at wide receiver. Now, they may not have the deep wide receiving core that Ohio State has. They may not have 2 first-rounders in their wide receiver room, but they are more than capable of being able to do damage through the air. You sleep on this passing attack of Michigan all you want to. I bet they can prove a lot of doubters wrong in this game. And when I look at Ohio State's defense, yes, they have played really well, but at the same time, man, like, this is a physical Michigan team. Like, this is a different Michigan team. I know every single year we always come and we talk about the game and we say, does Michigan have a chance? And a lot of people always say, yeah, and then Ohio State ends up running Michigan out the building. But I really believe, and Ohio State fans probably believe this too, that they're probably going to go into this game and that they're going to be in a dogfight. And you also got to look at it this way. There is a reason why Ohio State is only a 7.5 point favorite in this game. If Ohio State was really going to come in here and impose their will, Vegas would have Ohio State easily as a double-digit favorite like they were against Michigan State and like they were against Purdue. But the fact that Ohio State is only a single-digit favorite shows me that Vegas also feels like this Michigan team is legit as well. Now, we got to talk about the stakes in this game. We know what the stakes are. Winner of this game advances to the Big Ten Conference Championship game and keeps their college football playoff hopes alive. And the loser of this game pretty much, can hold their head up high. They had a really good season, but their college football playoff hopes are pretty much done for. So this is a big game. This is probably one of the biggest games that this Michigan and Ohio State game has had in a very long time. Like I said, like, this is the first year in a very long time that I've watched this game ever with this game having stakes as big as this. Like, this game actually lives up to the branding and the name that they call it, the game. Now, I wonder what's going to happen if Ohio State is able to have success throwing the football against Michigan. Does that kind of alter things? Because when you're Michigan, your offense isn't really predicated on scoring fast. This offense is predicated on ball control. They want to hold the ball in control time possession. They pretty much don't want to allow your offense to touch the ball at all. But when you have Ohio State, you're kind of playing a dangerous game when you play keep away from Ohio State, because Ohio State is an offense that can score at a blink of an instant. So they don't really need 2 minutes to score on you. They can score on you in 15 or 20 seconds. So when I look at Michigan, I'm really looking at that front seven, because Michigan's secondary is really solid, but the strength of this team is going to be with Hutcherson. Are they going to be able to get pressure on CJ Stroud? Because Ohio State's offensive line is one of the best in America. They have a lot of future guys on that offensive line who are going to be playing on Sundays. A lot of guys on that offensive line who are going to get drafted high when they end up declaring for the NFL draft. So the main matchup is going to be Michigan State's defensive line versus the offensive line of Ohio State. And that's something that we haven't really talked about all that often, because there really hasn't been a team this year that Ohio State has been able to play that has been able to really challenge them up front outside of Oregon. And we saw what Oregon was able to do. So I think you got to definitely key in on the big deciding matchup that's going to have a big say in terms of the outcome of this game, and deciding the winner is probably going to be the defensive line of Michigan versus the offensive line of Ohio State. That's going to be really interesting to watch, because if you have a defensive line that's able to get constant pressure on the quarterback isn't going to have all that much time to sit back and allow those deep routes down the field to develop. But they're going to have to get the ball out quick. So when you look at that Ohio State offense, a good way to neutralize that is simply by trying to get pressure with your front four. Maybe you send a couple of guys extra to blitz from time to time to kind of switch things up, but mainly to slow down that Ohio State pass attack and those talented wide receivers. The main thing is going to be making sure that CJ Stroud has to get the ball out his hands fast and quick, and not allow him to have all day to sit back in the pocket and throw the ball to a Olave, Smith, and also Wilson as well. So the team that I'm going to take to win this game, this is tough, man. This is really tough. I really like Michigan. I really do like Michigan this year, man. But I got to take Ohio State. I just got to do it. And the reason why I got to take Ohio State to win this game, man, is because Ohio State has been playing some of their best football. They're getting hot at the right time, man. And the best teams in college football around this time normally are able to hit that switch, man. And I feel like Ohio State has hit that switch. And Michigan has also been playing some really good football also, man. But at the same time, man, I feel like that Ohio State offense is going to end up being able to put up some points. And I just feel like Michigan's offense, like, I trust their offense, man. I like their offense, but is their offense eventually going to be able to keep up with Ohio State, man? I just don't know. And you look at the defensive performance that Ohio State had against Michigan State. Like, it's been phenomenal, man. And you got to remember, this is the same Michigan team that allowed Michigan State to come back from behind. So I just got to go for Ohio State, man. I just feel like Ohio State, I'm not going to say Ohio State's going to win this game because they're the better team, but I feel like when it comes down to the big moments in this game, I just feel like on third down, Ohio State is going to be able to keep the drive alive. I just feel like that offense for Ohio State is going to show up in big moments in this game. Now, I'm not saying that Ohio State's offense is going to roll and they're going to have the same performance that they did against Michigan State and Purdue the following couple of weeks. All I'm just saying is that I feel like when things get tight and when a key third down comes up or key fourth down comes up to move the chains, I just feel like Ohio State's offense is going to come out on top, man, because they just can beat you in so many different ways. And everybody talks about the pass attack, but they also can do a lot of damage to you on the ground as well, with running back TreVeyon Henderson, who has quietly been having a really great season. So I just got to take Ohio State, man. I really do. So you guys let me know who you guys have winning this game down in the comment section down below. Make sure that if you guys are watching this on YouTube that you check out the JT Sports Podcast. Every video that is uploaded on the channel is available in audio format on every single podcasting platform: Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. The JT Sports Podcast is available.